Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going on a really mind-bending journey.
Mm-hmm.
We need you to sort of set aside your watch, maybe ignore the calendar for a bit.
Yeah, definitely forget the clock.
Because we're challenging, well, almost everything you might think you know about time and connection.
That's right.
Our deep dive today goes into Buddhist cosmology, exploring time, karma, reality, and how these big ideas change how we see life, relationships, everything.
And the sources we're looking at, they operate on a scale that just dwarfs our normal human experience. It's cosmic.
So what's the mission here?
Well, the mission is really to pull out insights from this cosmology. Insights that, challenge that linear view of time and self. We're moving beyond everyday physics into the ultimate reality of the mind itself.
A reality where a human lifetime is just a blip.
Shorter than a fleeting thought, really, in the grand scheme of things, in the cycle of existence.
Okay, so to even start getting our heads around this scale, we need that first concept. The clock isn't universal.
Exactly. Not at all.
We've sort of touched on this before. One day isn't always 24 hours across these different spiritual dimensions, these bhumi samsara. Our time here, it's totally relative.
Absolutely right. And the relativity is just staggering. It's all determined by the karmic energy, the actions that place a being in a particular realm.
Okay, so give us an example, like heaven.
Let's take the lowest celestial dimension, the Katuma Harajika heaven.
Yeah.
Class 1. For a being there, a diva.
Yeah.
Just one heavenly day, they're 24 hours.
Yeah.
That's 50 human years for us.
50, just for one day.
50 years.
Yeah.
Think about that. 1 hour for them is roughly, 2 years and 2 months for us?
Wow. So their whole lifespan, they live 500 of their years, right?
They do. And if you calculate that, 500 heavenly years times 50 human years per day, times 360 days usually used in these calculations,
So it comes out
to 9 million human years.
9 million years, just living out the result of good karma. Temporary bliss, you said.
An almost unimaginable duration of temporary bliss, yes.
Yes.
Fueled by intense past merit.
Okay, but what about the other end of the scale? You mentioned time dilation works differently.
It does, and fascinatingly, it's even more extreme in the lower realms, the hells, or Naraya.
More extreme than 50 years to a day.
Much more. If we look at the first great hell, Sanjiva, the sources state that one day there, 24 hours of their experience, is equivalent to 9 million human years.
Hold on. 9 million. That's the number you just gave for the entire life of the diva in heaven.
Precisely. That's the exact point. It highlights this critical distinction the cosmology makes.
Which is?
That the time distortion, the stretching of time in the suffering realms, is exponentially greater than in the pleasant realms.
So the consequences of negative actions feel longer.
Much longer, vastly longer. The total lifespan in just that first hell, Sanjiva, is 500 hell years. And that equals, get ready for this, 1,620,000 million human years.
That number, it's almost meaningless. It's so big.
It's meant to be. It emphasizes the horrifying length, the sheer severity of the results of negative karma. It's not just about calculation.
It's about the weight, the endurance of these karmic effects.
Okay.
So how does this massive scale connect to what we think of as reality?
Well, it forces us to look at time on two levels. There's relative time or samadhi.
That's the math we just did, the 50 years, the 9 million years?
Exactly. That's the comparison, the unit we use to kind of measure how long the karmic effect lasts. But then there's absolute time, or paramatha.
Absolute time. What's that? Is it like a universal constant?
In a way, yes. It's defined by the siddha moment. Think of it as the absolute speed of consciousness itself.
The speed of thought.
The fundamental flicker. The moment a unit of consciousness arises, stays for an instant, and then perishes. That duration, that flicker, that is the same everywhere. In heaven, hell, the human realm, always the same speed.
Okay, so the actual processing speed of reality is constant.
You could say that, like the engine speed, yeah.
But our experience of that speed is what gets warped, depending on where our karma lands us.
That's the key takeaway. Exactly. The numbers measure the duration of the longevity. But the feeling of time, the subjective experience, that's what's radically different.
Right. So millions of years might feel short in heaven because it's pleasant.
Condensed by pleasure, yes. And a single day in hell feels like endless eons because of the intense suffering. Karma dictates the duration, but the mental state experiencing it dictates the feeling.
Okay. If time is stretched and squeezed like this, it throws a huge wrench into our ideas about connection, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, how can you maintain a bond, a friendship, family across these massive gulfs.
The sources are quite stark about this. They say, given these discrepancies, the chance of two people who are connected, say, in this life, meeting again as humans,
Huh.
it's harder than winning the lottery.
Yeah.
Statistically negligible, almost.
That really puts our, 70, 80 years if we're lucky,
Yeah.
into perspective.
Massively. Think about it. You live, you die.
Yeah.
You might be reborn maybe hundreds, maybe thousands of times over millions of human years.
Right.
Meanwhile, maybe that loved one who passed away, who had strong merit, went to that lowest heaven we talked about.
The one where a day is 50 years.
Yeah. By the time millions of human years have passed for you, cycling through rebirths, they might have only finished, say, the first month of their single heavenly life.
Still enjoying their reward while I've lived and died countless times.
Potentially, yes.
Yes.
They're still experiencing that bliss, completely unaware, while you've been through the whole cycle again and again.
Wow. So for two lives to actually line up again, same time, same place, both human, it sounds impossible.
Almost. It requires an immense force to make that happen.
A force of what?
The sources call it the power of joint good karma. Bufijinwad.
Yeah.
It's the shared merit, the strong positive connection built up over past lives together.
So that shared good energy is powerful enough to cut through the time distortions.
It has to be. It essentially forces the alignment, pierces through those different time dimensions to ensure that reunion can happen against all odds.
Okay, this brings up that classic question then. If people are so out of sync, time-wise, how does the whole karmic creditor thing work? The Chow Kam Nai Wen.
Ah, yes. The vengeful spirit or person you owe a debt to.
Right. If they're stuck in hell for billions of years, or maybe they're a deva enjoying heaven, how do they ever find you to collect? Shouldn't the debt just expire? Or they just can't physically locate you?
This is where we really need to shift our thinking. The sources emphasize that the karmic creditor isn't usually a literal ghost or person hunting you down across dimensions.
It's enough.
It's described more as a stream of karma.
A stream, like an energy current.
Exactly. The debt isn't tied to a specific being having to physically track you.
Mhm.
Because the core energy of karma itself, it's timeless.
Timeless, how so?
The original intention of the satana, that moment of intense hatred or resentment or even extreme attachment that drove the harmful action, that energy gets embedded in your stream of consciousness, your citta. And spending millions or billions of years in heaven or hell, it doesn't erase that fundamental energetic imprint. It's still there, dormant.
So it just waits.
It waits until the conditions are right, until that specific karmic seed is ripe to sprout.
And when it is?
Then karma doesn't need a map or a search party. It works on a different level. It instantly, internally, arranges the circumstances.
Ranges.
It orchestrates things. It brings the two streams of consciousness, the debtor and the creditor energy together in the right time, the right place, the right situation for that debt to be experienced or repaid. It's an internal convergence, not an external hunt.
So karma works outside of time, arranging reality from within our own consciousness stream. What does that imply about the nature of these realms themselves? Heaven, hell, even this world?
Well, it leads to a very profound conclusion in these texts. That everything we experience, all the realms, our bodies, even time itself as we perceive it, it's all Sankara Dharma.
Conditioned things. Things put together.
Exactly. Things that arise due to causes and conditions. And because they arise, they are fundamentally temporary, impermanent. Anika, they're like, well, the classic term is Maya, illusion, but maybe image is better.
An image. Projected by what?
The sources say the mind, the sita, it's the projector.
Our consciousness projects our reality.
Yes. The continuous stream of consciousness, the vinyadhatu, takes the fuel, the karma we've created, mixed with ignorance, avijja, and it generates and then experiences the image of whatever realm we find ourselves in. Consciousness defines the boundaries of our world.
Okay, I think I can follow that intellectually. Mind creates reality. But here's the dilemma, right? For anyone listening who's dealing with, say, chronic pain or just broke their leg, that feels incredibly, undeniably real.
Of course it does.
If it's all just an image, an illusion,
Mm-hmm.
why does intense physical pain feel so absolute, so non-negotiable?
That's a crucial, very practical question. And the sources make a very sharp distinction here. We need to separate two things, pain and suffering.
Pain and suffering, they aren't the same.
Not according to this framework. Pain, the Pali word is vedana. That's the raw physical sensation. The nerve signals, the electrical impulses firing, the biological reality at the cellular level. That sensation is real on the conventional level. The texts don't deny the feeling.
Okay, so the raw sensation is real, But the suffering.
Suffering dukkha is seen as the psychological layer added on top. It's the experience created by the mind's reaction to the pain. Specifically, its resistance to the unpleasant sensation, or its attachment to wanting the pleasant sensation of non-pain.
So it's like pain is the input, but suffering is what my mind does with that input.
Precisely. There's a kind of formula here. Pain plus resistance. Suffering. If you could somehow remove the resistance.
The suffering would diminish, even if the pain sensation remained.
That's the path of practice laid out. It's not about denying the sensation is happening. It's about training the mind not to add that layer of mental anguish, that resistance.
How do you even begin to do that
Yeah.
when pain is overwhelming? What's the first step?
The first step is often described as radical acceptance. Not resignation, but acceptance of the present reality of the sensation.
Okay.
You start by trying to view the pain almost like an image on a TV screen. You acknowledge the image is there, you see it clearly, but you practice not identifying with it.
Yep.
Not saying, I am this pain or this pain is mine.
You create some distance using mindfulness.
Athaki.
Eh.
Exactly. Focus mindfulness to observe the sensation impersonally.
Yeah.
Just watching it. And the key technique here is observing its anicca.
It's impermanence. But severe pain often feels so solid, so constant, like a block of misery. How do you see impermanence in that?
Through deconstruction,
Yeah.
you use your focused attention to break it down. Stop seeing pain as one monolithic thing.
Okay. How?
You look closely at its characteristics. Is the quality changing? Maybe it was dull, now it's sharp, or stabbing,
Yeah.
then dull again.
Right. It often does shift.
Notice the intensity. Does it fluctuate, even slightly? A 9 out of 10, then an 8 back to 9, maybe dips to 7 for a moment.
Yep.
Where is it located? Does the boundary shift? Does it pulse? Does it move? When you closely observe these moment-to-moment changes in quality, intensity, location,
You see, it's not one solid thing.
you demonstrate directly to your own mind that it's not fixed. It's not continuous. It's a rapidly changing stream of sensations, arising and passing, moment by moment, like flickers on the screen.
And seeing that flicker, that change, that breaks the mind's ability to latch onto it as permanent and solid.
It undermines the basis for clinging and resistance. If it's constantly changing, what is there to resist? What is there to own?
And where does that lead? What's the goal state emotionally towards the sensation?
Equanimity. Upekkha. A balanced, neutral mind. This is the ultimate antidote to the suffering component.
Neutrality, even towards intense pain.
It's a high practice, but yes. You train the mind to consciously avoid reacting with aversion or hatred when the pain increases, and crucially also avoid reacting with delight or relief when it lessens.
Why avoid the relief?
Because relief implies you hated the previous state. Equanimity means simply noting, now the sensation is strong, now the sensation is weak, without the emotional charge, without the preference.
Just observing the changing image.
Yes, that psychological neutrality starves the resistance.
Yeah.
It cuts the fuel line to suffering, even if the raw sensation, the Vedana, continues for a time.
Wow. Okay. This has been, an incredibly powerful deep dive from the dizzying timescales in other realms.
Millions, even billions of years.
Right. Compared to our tiny, fleeting human lifespan, it really shows this human realm is, well, a very short, very small window of opportunity, doesn't it?
It really does. Precious and brief.
Makes conscious connection and awareness now seem profoundly important.
And if we tie it all together, if the sources are right that the real karmic creditor, the thing that follows us, isn't a person, but that energy embedded in our consciousness stream,
Timeless energy.
timeless and inescapable based on our own intentions, our satana, then it leads you to realize the only true enemy, the only creditor we really need to be mindful of
Is ourselves.
is the negative karmic seed we plant in our own heart, in our own mind right now, today. Because that energy, that intention, that's what will absolutely follow us across the vastness of time and space. Millions of years won't erase it.
So the real focus should be on the present moment, the choices we make right now.
Cultivating awareness, cultivating wholesome intentions.
A powerful place to end. We really encourage you to use this short, incredibly valuable human life with that kind of awareness, that sati, and maybe a deeper appreciation for this present moment. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.